last hit out this weekend. What's left for you to see?
Lots of things still to see. So probably the main thing that last week I wasn't happy with is our skill level. So I'd like to see an improvement in that. Got off to a poor start as well. So there are two things against North Melbourne. We started really well. It was a windy day, but I was quite happy with our skills. But they're probably the two things.
How do you see your skills and your fitness across the board, Phil, compared to, say, a Port Adelaide or a Hawthorn?
Up until last week, I was pretty happy with our skills. We obviously monitor what we kick at training, and we'd been well above other kicking efficiencies at clubs I've been at previously. But give Geelong a fair bit of credit last week. They did bring some good heat to us, so and Port will do the same. So it's going to be a really good test for us. Fitness-wise, I'm on record to saying the guys have worked really hard. From a GPS aspect, and I think I've said it before, one man's GPS is another man's GPS shortcuts, but I've been really happy. I've been very pleased to see the way the conditioning staff led by Nick Paulus has integrated GPS at the club. It's very much aligned with how I see it. The challenge for the players now, though, is to turn that out into the game, into being used as an advantage. So it's no good being super fit if you turn the ball over all the time. But from a conditioning point of view, I've been really pleased with what the players and the conditioning staff have done this pre-season.
How do you fix that? Turning the ball over?
Well, pressure's the main thing, Theo. I think I've talked about it before. When I talk about Formula One footy, we can all drive a car, but not many of us can drive a Formula One car. And sometimes in games, you either apply pressure or you receive pressure. And early on against Geelong, we weren't able to deal with that. To be the team we want to be, we've got to be able to do it.
So you spoke about skill level, and your goal kicking was poor against Geelong as well. But you believe from what you've seen behind the training and that sort of stuff that you actually it's a naturally highly skilled team?
Yeah, but it's a little bit of fool's gold, Andrew, because we're only competing against ourselves. So it's only as good as whatever pressure we can apply. What we get to find out when we play games, against North Melbourne for 3 quarters, I was really happy. Geelong for 1 quarter, and then we had a couple of moments where we got our game going and it looked as if we could compete against them. And probably I actually showed the players there was probably 4 minutes to go before 3-quarter time where the game was there to be taken. We had the ball and some fundamental errors allowed Geelong to kick 2 goals, and then it became difficult for us to get back in the game.
Also, your goal kicking, some of those were set shots. That's probably more psychological, isn't it?
Yeah, with the goal kicking though, Andrew, it's a one-off event. Let's people said to me, "Oh, you're a poor goal kicking team last year." I wasn't here last year. Let's just have a cold shower a little bit with the goal kicking and just see what happens.
Yep.
What's your approach with skills training? I mean, how do you develop it? Is it any?
That's a really good question, and something I've spent a lot of time over my career trying to work out. So there's a school that says it's a lot of volume training, okay? There's another school that says you need a biomechanical assessment of all your players. There's another school that says just put players in the decision-making situation under enough pressure and eventually they find a way. I'm probably in a little bit of all of the 3 camps, but the thing that we find hard to replicate is 50,000 people at Adelaide Oval against really good opposition. And ultimately, players have got to be able to get it done on game day.
So is that just natural ability?
Correct. To a degree, we can all help, we can tinker, but what you got is a little bit of what you got. The other bit, though, is you need players to get 50 games. Often the guys who make the poor decisions or turn the ball over are normally your younger players, just haven't got the experience. And in an ideal world, we'll give them all experience, but you've got to win games.
So are you playing close to your best team? Best available team?
Yeah, pretty close, Andrew.
Yeah. Okay. Is it important to, pre-season game, does the win factor come into your equation much?
I said I want to establish a winning culture. I was really happy to beat North Melbourne. I was disappointed last week against Geelong, but I've said all along, round one's the prize. Now, you look at a lot of clubs, and Port Adelaide's been one of them, is Nick's coaching or is Ken coaching? So a lot of clubs look at it as to experiment around. But I need to see some things from a number of players to tick the box that they'll be there round one. And I have a simple message to all the players. Play your role, think team, good things will happen.
You think the winning culture, Phil, does that, I mean, I know you said that the pre-season games, the win isn't really the prize like you said. So does winning culture mean more about the things you do off the track to going forward?
Yeah, I'm big about elite standards. But one of the things is for the players as well, they have to earn the trust that what I've been telling them actually works. So let's say we didn't win any of the NAB Cup games, they might then start thinking, well, great in theory, let's see, it hasn't worked in practice. So I'm really happy that we've had a win against North Melbourne. I want to play well, obviously, on Saturday, but round one is still the ultimate test. That's really our season launch. We had it last night, but round one's the season launch.
Could that be dangerous then? Say you go 2 or 3 games into the season and you don't get a win, then to say the lads, you still have to believe in what we've put together?
I've been in footy a long time. I've seen every journey. I think Damien Hardwick at Richmond, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he started 0-9. But look where he's got them now. They played in 2 final series. Some other journeys are a little bit shorter. Look what Ken's done at Port Adelaide. Who knows what the Phil Walsh coaching group is going to bring with this group. That's the bit that's exciting for mine. We don't know.
How many, I assume you've picked out in your own mind or written down on paper your best 22 for round one, or if you haven't clarified that yet, is there still 26 players fighting for 22 spots?
No, spots are up for grabs, Andrew. If you've watched our 2 games, there's probably only been 2 standout performances in the 2 games. Eddie Betts against North Melbourne and Patrick Dangerfield against Geelong. So the rest of them, for mine, they need to play well this week.
Scotty Thompson, listed as 2 to 4 on your injury report. Is he any chance of playing in round one?
He's a chance because he's got great experience and he's done a big chunk of the pre-season, but he won't play a game going into round one. So it's a risk. Am I prepared to take that risk? I'll probably tell you in 2 weeks' time.
Okay, Luke Loudon, he's not on the injury report. We haven't seen him at all.
Yeah, no, Luke's been managed. So the situation coming into this round, and he won't play this round in the State League or in the NAB Challenge. His situation is next week none of the players can play. So we have an opportunity. Do you want to play him this week and then he doesn't play for a week, or do we want to condition him and build him up? So we've taken the approach with him, no, we'll condition him and build him up, and then hopefully he'll play in that first State League trial. So he won't be available for us round one AFL.
Okay, what's wrong with him?
He came to the club with an Achilles, okay, and probably we've had a couple of guys with Achilles this pre-season. One of the difficulties, and this is not a complaint by the way, but we had to move off Amy Stadium, off the main deck, and we had to train at Thebarton, which was great for us to get that venue, but it was just too hard. And we probably, with Luke, he probably trained 2 days in a row on a really hard surface that's given him a small setback.
Okay, with the Achilles?
Yeah, with the Achilles,
okay.
yeah.
Any other players impacted by the move to Thebarton?
Well, we ended up moving back. So we came back to Max Bassier because of it. We did penetrometers and we got readings, actually. We looked at maybe going to West Adelaide as well, but we ended up deciding the surface here was probably just as good.
How many sessions would you have had at Thebarton?
I think we may have had 4,
Yeah.
but and that's not criticism of them. It's just the way it is at that standard. And you know, it was great because it was a good venue to do a closed session. It's a bit hard to do a closed session at Max Bassier, and Larry's had to get a few pedestrians to ask him to move on, which has caused us a few issues.
What's the plan in the future then with closed sessions and stuff? Like where do you sort of see them being conducted?
Hopefully there's no boy bands coming to Adelaide next year, so we can still stay on Amy, but I don't know.
Look at the surface out there, and is it sandy? What's your opinion? Is it passable?
Yeah, it's a little bit sparse and bare in a couple of spots, but the ground staff's done a really good job. I actually spoke to some of the West Coast coaches when they were over to play Port Adelaide, and they said that, you know, Patterson's, I don't think it's called that anymore, is it?
It's cool.
Domain. Ah, that's right. What a beautiful segue. It's called Domain. Yeah, they've got a few more complaints than what we've got out there, Vicky, so no, it should be fine to go.
Phil, I guess you hate talking about Patrick Dangerfield with his contract, no doubt. We have to keep asking though.
Yeah.
When we ask the players now, they really don't want to talk about it, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
Have you given them a direction what to say about Danger and what's your theory and
No,
with his contract?
we've got bigger things to do at the moment with the players, and we're worrying about getting our game out there. You say you don't like answering it, well, I can just tell you I'm not going to answer it either. So, look, it'll get done. Whatever happens will happen. We're here to win some footy games. We're a team. We're looking forward to launching our season in a couple of weeks against North Melbourne.
Is it a big distraction for you and the playing group though?
It's part of the landscape of AFL footy at the moment. You just get on with it.
Yeah. Do you have confidence that he will sign, or?
It's not up to, I don't lay awake thinking about what Patrick Dangerfield's going to do. I'm worried about whether he's going to play his role in the team and whether he's going to do the things I ask of him game day, and he did them very well last week in Geelong.
What are you expecting from Port this week? They're saying it's a real rehearsal from their point of view, and they're going to go hard as well.
Yeah, well, it depends. Is Ken coaching or is Nixie coaching?
No,
Do you know?
Ken's back.
Ken's back. Well, if it's Ken, it could be on. Because I don't think Ken's still forgiven me from the third quarter in the preliminary final. So if it's Ken, he's a competitor, it'll be game on, and I'm looking forward to that.
What do you mean by that?
You better ask Ken. He might tell you I'm not gonna. Doesn't look good on my resume.
Is there a bit of rivalry? Obviously, you're great mates, work closely together.
Is there any rivalry between Port, Adelaide and Adelaide?
No,
Gee.
How do you feel coaching against him for the first time?
Ken's record speaks for himself. You know, he's an outstanding coach, and I was lucky enough to be part of his coaching group, which was great for my development.